events. I mean, I don't know what those are, quite frankly.
Well, certainly using a ball field has, there's a price.
No, the ball field, but what are the
we
267
would set a price.
mansion events? I mean, I presume it's 52 Weight Watchers, maybe 52. Other issues.
Well, Weight Watchers off the cuff is a for-profit.
Well, actually, it's not. No, sir, it's not.
Weight Watchers is not a charity.
Right. No, so Weight Watchers wouldn't be in there. So you have
so
52. Well, I don't know. What is that? What's the? I like to get to the heart and the bottom of issues. So I'd like to know what are those 267 not-for-profit activities in the mansion. I'd like to get a better handle of what those are, and I don't really have it. I don't understand it yet. I don't know what those. Who are the users are yet.
I think that
I appreciate it is a little bit frustrating. We've been coming here month for month, and so we need to bring it to a head.
Bishop's not frustrated, are you?
Councilwoman Mendocino's has a good take on this, and we should at least commit to implement new pricing for February, so we don't lose the entire year. Set that price. I think that's a perfect way to go about it. And then we can work with the who's going to be charged going forward, and ease into it. Maybe it's the better way to handle that. I think it's a good idea. So I think we should be prepared to make some kind of a decision.
Good.
Applying to this in February. That's a good idea.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Comments from the public?
I'm sorry, Rybrook. Does the town have a policy for when a resident calls up for a DVD? Do you know of?
Calls up for a DVD.
Yes, copy of a meeting.
I don't think we have a policy.
Okay, I just want to tell you.
But the meetings are online.
Yeah, I know. I just want to tell you what happened between me and Bishop.
Yep.
I called him up about 3 weeks ago, and I told him who I was. And I says to him, I would like a copy of the DVD. And he says to me, we playing games there now, Mr. Servey? That's what he told me. So I said, what are you talking about, Bishop? I said, I want a copy of the DVD. So he says to me, well, you could watch it on TV or you can watch it on a website. And he says, after that, he says, well, this is how the game is going to go from now on, Mr. Servey. You have to file a Freedom of Information request, and you have to pay $10. Okay? Now, previous to that, I got 3 DVDs, and I went up to his secretary, and he was gracious enough to give me the DVDs. I never filed the Freedom of Information Act, and I never paid him the $10. So, I don't know what kind of game he's playing, but I just want to know what's going on.
Well, sorry, did you want to say this?
That's exactly what he says to me.
There's no games going to be played here in the town of Rye.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
And so we don't have a DVD policy, so I'll suggest we come up one with the board here. We want whole transparency, total transparency.
Okay.
Right now we have the TV obviously, and all of our town meetings are on the website, as I understand as well.
Yes.
And I think if there are DVDs and DVDs are cut, I'm perfectly happy to make them available to the public, and I recommend.
Lorenzo can do that.
Right, but I think that however it gets done. But I do what my expectation would be, and you shouldn't have, and you won't. No one will have to foil it. So this is my recommendation. I'll see what the board wants. But the constituents will have to pay for it, right? So whatever the cost of the DVD is should be picked up because there's so many different avenues to see it. So we don't have a policy. That would be my recommendation to the board, that we adopt a policy.
Well, that's what he told me. And also, I would just like to make a statement too.
Right.
I am a resident, okay? I am a taxpayer. I pay for some of his salary. And I believe that when somebody calls up his office, they shouldn't be disrespected like I was and be nasty on a phone like him, because he is a public employee, and maybe he should treat people the way they're supposed to be treated when he calls his office. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cervi. I guess a couple of things. In terms of the DV policy, I think that's a good suggestion that we have a policy. What I'd like to propose, as I suggested, that anybody from the town that wants a DVD is more welcome to have it. There's no need to foil for it.
Excuse me, Mr. Supervisor, other municipalities within the town of Rye do request that you foil.
Yeah, but
such
we're
information.
1,000% transparent. I can't imagine why we would foil for a DVD of the meeting, right?
Well, it's more of a administrative type activity. It's but you could get it immediately. But it's just
It's foil. Foil was
filing a record for the request.
I think, well, Councilman Muir, if we agreed, I want to be 2,000% transparent. I know how infuriating when I used to file FOIL requests, and I hate bureaucracy. So since we're not.
No, I agree. But I've foiled records at other municipalities, and it was just a matter of formality. Who you are, your name, address, and everything, just to document who's requested.
Oh, okay, that's a good suggestion.
Right?
Why don't we document? I'm
Right,
perfectly happy, but I don't want them to foil. Foil's a formal procedure.
Yeah, I agree. We have a great resource that has the technology, which is Tom Lorenzo and his crew that handles the. I don't think that we're in the position to burn the DVDs, but Mr. Cervi's absolutely right. Tom Lorenzo, and we'll work with him and have the request that way. And whatever he charges, I don't think the town should make money on it. Whatever it is, it should be, goes right to Tom Lorenzo, and it's, it's running on the internet. So if you have the technology at home, you can run the DVD from the website and burn your own copy. Right. No, not that you have, not that you could do it. I'm saying if you have the technology, but we should be able to provide that for you. And I agree with the supervisor. And
I just want to, that's a good point. I just want to reiterate that in terms of being transparent, that information is available to anyone online through our website.
Yeah.
So, we're totally transparent. If you need to take a look at it, you can go and you download it today if you really want to see it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cervi. Do we need to vote formally on that, Mr. Noda, or no? Okay, perfect. Other comments from the public, please?
My name is Frank Rigo. I live at 85 Birch Street, Dorchester, New York. Got a couple of questions. When's maybe the last time anybody looked at the deed from Crawford Park? Because recreation to me is playing. It's not like weddings. I could be wrong. That situation as far as the house being monitored and stuff like that, yeah, I was here last month and brought up the same thing. That's 2 months now. Michelle, I don't blame you for getting mad. Is it possible, maybe Mr. Noda, you guys can post it online for people to see? Maybe I can come in and get a copy from Hope of that. Because before you make a major policy, I don't know if the last time anybody really checked, but the last time I looked at it was maybe 25 years ago, and it said for recreational use. And I don't think recreational use is a wedding. I could be wrong, but, and that's where a lot of things, and as far as Mr. Nowotnik's comments about the nonprofits using and stuff like that, I think it was left for recreational use. And you want to get money, but you're going to block out the people for recreation. I mean, I understand you want to make a balancing act, and it does need it, in a sense, but not at the cost of the recreation, because that's what I believe Mrs. Crawford's intentions were. And when I did talk to her daughters, she said her mother was thrilled to have kids running up and down the plays and all that kind of stuff. So, just a thought. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for your comments, both last month and this month, Mr. Rigo, and I'm happy to make a copy of the.
I think you have one, right?
Do we have? Can we make a copy? Oh, you have a copy at least.
I'd like to see it.
The town clerk has a copy.
We'll make and we'll get you a copy of the lease.
Yeah.
The deed. Other comments from the public?
More organized recreation, have more pushed down.
Okay. Thank you.
It is left for recreation.
Okay, and then,
So we have Southberry Bridge. We have a presentation on Southberry Bridge.
all right.
Mr. Brian Smith. Hi, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good evening, Supervisor, and the council members. I'm not sure, have you seen the plan for the bridge yet? Has it been distributed?
Just this past
Yep,
weekend.
yep.
Okay. What I wanted to do was take a very, very brief and rough run through of the plan, just so you guys can kind of understand what exactly you're looking at. On the top of the plan is an overall area plan. You can see there's a dashed box for the area of interest. We're using a pre-existing plan as the base map. It's a very loud plan, I would say. That's why what we did was we put an inset below, showing our specific area, because we only are dealing with 25% of the bridge area itself. In that area of interest, you'll see the location of the stone abutment and the sidewalk that need to be rehabilitated, and the existing metal guardrail that we are recommending be shored and salvaged. We are giving the bidders an opportunity to bid on shoring and salvaging it, or to remove and reconstruct, because there will be a balancing act between if they can shore it and work around it, if that's going to complicate things and take 1 or 2 weeks extra construction, and you will see in the bid numbers that it can be taken down and rebuilt for a cheaper price due to the timeline. That will be weighed after we open bids. On the cross-section, the bottom left-hand corner, you'll also see sidewalk area to be removed and replaced due to settling. Additional call-outs and details for the guardrail, and the top area of the wall needing to be dismantled in order to reconstruct the breached area properly. Again, going back to the previous report submitted in May 2010, due to insufficient stone size and large void areas, that's why we have witnessed the breach on the stone wall next to the concrete abutment. There'll be floating silk curtain that's going to be installed. We've used it on previous bridge applications, and the DEC approves of that. There's general notes and codes and specifications, which are really a liability issue, putting a lot of the responsibility on the actual contractors themselves. As far as permits that are going to be required, the standard joint application, which is New York State DEC and Army Corps of Engineers. That's going to be for work in the tidal wetlands. We'll be notifying the United States Coast Guard of the actions and our dates of work. Westchester County Department of Public Works, we're filing an application for a permit to do work within the channel line or within 100 feet therefrom. And Village of Mamaroneck is requiring a floodplain development permit application and a building permit application. I currently have correspondence open with John Winter, Building Inspector of Mamaroneck. Right now, they are requiring a full building permit application, which would require a wetland activity permit, but I'm trying to have that waived. There's some stipulations in the code that we do fall into, so that's why I'm going to try to get us exempt from the wetland activity permit. If not, we'll have to present in front of the planning board and obtain a planning board approval, and that's why we're working hard to get that part exempt. And I want to lay out a rough timeline. The preliminary drafts of the information to bidders in bid form have been prepared and given to Mr. Nowotnik. All we have to do really is fill in the dates of when bids are due, when we're going to have a pre-bid conference, etc. So what we'd like to do, pending acceptance and approval of the plan from this board, is to publish a public advertisement February 8th, or therefrom. Hold a pre-bid meeting at the end of February. Have the bids due and open bids approximately at March 8th in order to present the bid figures to this board during the March 2011 meeting. Select the bidders after that, and then approve the final contractor in the April meeting, and then commence construction at the beginning of May. That will allow us to go through the rainy season of late March and April. So if there's any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to field those at this time.
Any questions from the board?
Yes. How many? Explain to us how large the silk curtain is and how much of it is being placed on or around the abutments?
The silk curtain it's about 15 feet deep. It has a floating styrofoam piece in the top so that it's able to fluctuate up and down with the tide.
Okay.
It's got a stainless steel metal link chain in the bottom, so that goes to the bottom floor of the waterway. What it's going to do on the eastern side, where we're not going to be working, we're going to button it to the structure rather close so that there's not a big fluctuation of the current in and out. On the western side, where we will be working, we will have more slack in order to have workers and machinery in the area of the rehabilitation itself. So I would say it's probably about 30 feet on the western side and probably about 60 to 80 feet on the western side.
The
Said western side twice.
and the silk curtain, and what's the life of this silk curtain? What's the life of that?
I'd have to see the manufacturer's specifications. We used it for 4 months last year during the construction, the rehabilitation of the footbridge from before any ground was broken to full completion, and there was no breakdown in it at all. It's a very heavy, thick, heavy-duty plastic, and we've never had any issues with it at all.
And so after the construction is done, it's removed?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. It's put in before any machinery is mobilized, or any stones are moved, or any materials are brought in to stabilize the area first, so that if any debris, any stones kind of roll, they're caught, they're captured, and allow the workers to then remove them properly, so that we don't get anything flowing in or out, and complaints from any neighbors, or if we have Westchester DPW representative, or more importantly a DEC representative out.
Right.
We're showing what we're going to do. I'll inspect it, make sure that it's done properly, and that they're maintained throughout all construction phases.
I don't know if you're going to be coming back, to discuss this with us again, but if you do, could you possibly bring, you may have done this last year, some photos and maybe even a model, like a small mock-up of the bridge, so we could see something, beyond drawings?
Sure. I have plenty of photographs. As far as a mock-up, I think that when you see the photographs, actually, if you want, I've got the original report here with color photos. I can pass it to you now,
That would be great.
and you can breeze through it throughout.
And your form you mentioned is the Cambridge Department of Public Works, the bid form. So we got to change that.
Thank you.
Could you just explain to the board and just refresh us and explain to the public how the abutment is going to be rehabilitated?
Well, if you were to look at the site, you see that there's been a breach, and there's a pile of large, mid-sized stones, obviously not large enough right next to it. So you think that you can just pick them up and put them back in place. What happens is there's already been a compromise behind that wall, so it's not just an easy slip and put back in. What we need to do is we need to stabilize above, which is the guardrail area, before construction. They're going to then carefully dismantle the top, the top half of the wall itself. Then what we'll do is we're going to excavate and take out any of the breached and washed away area, any debris that's behind the wall itself. Per New York State DOT standards, we're going to replace compacted fill behind the wall as the wall is rebuilt. And then the sidewalk is going to be completely replaced for the section adjacent to the voided area. What's happened, if you go out to the site now, you'll see that there's been many patchings done on the sidewalk, and there still continues to be settlement that's leading to infiltration of stormwater from above. What that's doing is that's opening up a freeze-thaw issue behind the wall, causing more displacement of the stones during seasonal change. Plus you're getting surface water just going right behind, and it's scouring out the backfill. It's not next to the roadway. It's not under the roadway, so the road's okay. But the sidewalk, it's just going to continue to have a negative impact on the wall. So what we're proposing is to get to the area and do this correctly, you need to dismantle the wall above, rebuild from the bottom up in this one section, and then kind of button the top up with a sidewalk replacement in this one area.
And what about the wall? What do you face the wall with?
It's not being faced. It's dry rubble stacked wall. There's the insufficient stones are going to be removed, and we're calling